Girls, please give me a reminder for recording this session. So we have seen language should be universal, language should be natural for solving a problem. It should be capable of being implemented on a computer, capable of efficient implementation. Efficient implementation means to sort 5 numbers if you need 1 millisecond. It should not take more time to execute a code for different or various size of arrays. Implementation should be efficient because once a program is translated into intermediate code, then intermediate code to target code. So while translation should not be very heavy translation, it should be very easy and efficient way. Once program gets translated to low level and gets executed, it should not take too much time. Efficiency in terms of time and as well as space. Means time complexity should be minimum, as well as space complexity also should be minimum. That's how programming language should provide efficient constructs. Yesterday we discussed about portability. Portability means run program once and run everywhere. Means you can write a program on one machine and you should able to execute it on any machine. See, executable program you can run it on any machine. If you have executable file, you can run it on any machine. But the source code .java file or .c file which you have written on one machine, you should able to convert it to executable file on other machines. That is portability. Means if I have written a code and my project partner is sitting at other end of the world, and he want to add some new functionalities to my existing code, he should able to change that code, able to convert that code, translate it and execute it. That is called portability. Program should be portable. It should support different operating systems, hardwares, processors, etc. Language should be verifiable. As the name says, verifiable. Have you used debugger in C language? So if you write a code and code is not syntactically correct, immediately you get error, semicolon missing, bracket missing, imbalance, parenthesis. These are syntax errors. So who deals with the syntax errors? A system software called debugger. So programming language should come with this type of verification softwares like debugging and error checking. It should be used for the programmer, instructor programmer, actual error is on this line number and what is the nature of that error. So it should be helpful for a programmer to find that error and rectify that error. So programming language should be verifiable. And last but not least, understandable. Any person who just go through your code source program once, able to understand what you are exactly trying to do with that code. Yes, if I'm not familiar with C or Java, just going through the code, I should able to understand this code is trying to do something. So instead of using variables like A, comma B, comma C, if I use variables like marks of subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, that is more readable. So you should able to write variables, function names such that program is readable, understandable to other programmers or users of your group. So is it clear, the characteristics of programming language? Programming language
Yes,
should be
ma'am.
universal, natural. Okay. I think you have studied this types of programming languages. So if you go to the history, there were only hardware. Hardware means the switches. So to type one program or to execute something, they have the punch cards. Machine language has punch card means zeros and ones. Hardware means only toggle switches on and off. No language was exist. Then machine language is language of zeros and ones. So there were punch cards. So if it is punched, that means 1. If it is not punched, the dot is not punched, that means 0. So that was the language of zeros and ones. And programmer who is working on that particular system has to load these punch cards, give all the instructions, means with the help of toggle switches, and wait for the output, and machine is going to read it, process it, and display output in the form of punch cards again. So that was the difficult situation. Machine language, language of zeros and ones. Then assembly language. Assembly language is hardware language. It is also called middle level language, and it has opcodes for data and instructions. And translator was used like assembler. Assembler translates assembly language to machine level language. Then came high level languages. High level languages like C, C++, Pascal, Java, Fortran. These are high level languages. And high level languages are English like languages, more user friendly, more towards the user. And we need a compiler or interpreter, translator who translates high level language to machine level language. There are various generations. We'll see each generation in detail. First, second, third, fourth, and now we are in fifth generation. So first generation is called machine language. We are not talking about hardware because hardware there where no language exists. So in machine language, operation code such as addition or subtraction, operands that identify data to be processed. Machine language is machine dependent. What is meaning of machine dependent? Dependent for that particular operating system processor means. Have you heard about 886 is the name of processor? 8086, 386,
Yes,
Pentium. Okay, it is written right. Intel Pentium inside, Core 3 inside on your laptops. So these are processors. So once I write a code for one particular processor, and if I try to execute it with other processor, it is not executable. So the code which is written for 886 or 386, so it is executed on only 386 machines. So that is dependency. So as it is only language the computer can understand. Now it is written only for that particular processor. Very efficient code, but difficult to write. Why efficient? Because it is machine readable. No need to do translation and all those things. Code is already loaded into main memory and just need to execute it and produce the output. So it is efficient code. But the problem is how to write such programs. It is very difficult to write this program. You can see the difference. This is it visible? See, hello world programming C language. Hash include stdio.h, integer main void, print hello world, return 0. If no one knows C language, just read this code can understand that it is trying to print something, hello world string. Okay. But if you look at the right hand side, these zeros and ones and these some numbers. So these are hexadecimal numbers. So see this 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can say 5. 5 lines of code is translated into this hexadecimal code. A simple program to print the words hello world written in C, and beginning of the sample program compiled and displayed as a hexadecimal suggests the major advantage of programming in human readable language over machine code. If I ask you to change this code and add one more printf statement here in this machine language, is it possible to find out which is the instruction and which is the data? Note that why these are so many numbers. So for each character, hash, this is I, N, C, U, L. So each character is translated into ASCII code, and ASCII code is then translated into hexadecimal number. So this is one character, second character, third character, like this. That's why this size of the code is in bits or bytes. Second generation is assembly language. Assembly language use symbolic operation codes, or it is called opcodes, in short form opcodes, replaced by binary operation codes. So to add, we can use add instruction. To multiply, we can use mul instruction, like this. Assembly language programs needed to be assembled for execution by a computer. So each assembly language instruction is translated into one machine language instruction. So we have assembly language instruction, and each assembly language instruction need to translate it to machine language instruction with the help of assembler. It is also efficient code and easier to write. Efficient code than high level language and easier to write than machine level language. So this is the example in C or high level language. We write C is equal to A plus B, a simple what we can say assignment statement. Add value of A in value of B, produce the result and store this result into C. So either you go to C, C++, Java, you have to write this statement as it is. And it is self-readable. Anyone who knows English can understand that we are adding two variables and putting result in C. In assembly language, we have to use opcode like add. Add is an instruction, A comma B. Note that when we add A comma B, result is stored in A. And note that A and B can be registers or variables. So this is the assembly language instruction, add A comma B. Again, for one simple assignment statement, there is only one instruction. In machine language, add gets translated to hexadecimal, A gets translated to hexadecimal, B also gets translated to hexadecimal, and we get some sequence of zeros and ones. And hardware is just to execute that code. So what is the advantage of assembly language over machine language? Program become more readable. It is still machine dependent. Assembly language programs are also machine dependent, that similar to machine language programs. And assembly language programs need assembler to convert assembly language to machine language. Then come third generation. Third generation is more closer to the user. It is English-like language and with simple mathematical notations. So program we write, it is called source code, which must be translated into machine language code, which is called object code. So when you translate C or C++ on Linux, you get a.out file, which is a machine language code. In case of Windows, when you translate, when you just compile a program, you will get OBJ, output file OBJ. So that is object code, which is also called intermediate code. And then intermediate code is translated to target code. So translation of source code to the object code is accomplished by a machine language system program, which is called compiler or interpreter. Interpreter directly translates and executes program at a time, but compiler can produce a machine language code. So this is the example of language translation. Third generation languages are C, C++, Java, which are called high level languages. So suppose this is a while loop statement, compiler compiles it and converts it to, this is an assembly language code, which is called intermediate code. Then intermediate code gets translated by assembler to machine code. So first compile to assembly language level, then assembly link to machine level. Advantage of third generation language over second or first generation is more readable code. It is easy to write a program in third generation languages or high level languages. And the disadvantage is it is less efficient than machine level and assembly language instruction, because it takes time to compile or translate the program. So alternative to the compilation is interpretation. One more translator is available, which is called interpreter, which is accomplished by a system program called interpreter. So interpreter, compiler, assembler, these are called system programs. So these are common third generation languages. Fortran, the long form is formula translation. This was very popular language in 50s and 60s. First high level language was Fortran. Then COBOL. COBOL was mainly used for data management before SQL query or language. Then C and C++ are still popular languages. Visual Basic is also common third generation language. So what compiler does, as we have seen, source program which is written in C, C++, Java or any high level language, compiler compiles it, convert that program into machine code and you'll get the output. So compiler can produce explicit machine language program, and then machine language program you provide input and you'll get the output. Shall I show you? Wait a minute. Screen is visible. Terminal is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
I'm writing a small C program. Program is visible, right? You can see this program.
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am. The black screen and the cursor is visible.
Oh. I think the system is not allowing me to share my screen, entire screen. I'm using online editor. If you have Linux installed, you can go to the terminal and try this. Not now, afterwards. I want to show you intermediate code. That's why I'm typing this program in Linux terminal. So I have created a file a.c and I have written this code. I hope this online editor is visible now. If I type cat a.c, cat is a command which will display its contents. So I want to compile this. So compiler is cc a.c. If I print ls, ls command is used to list number of files. I forgot to run this code. So after this, if I print ls and run, ls is a listing, it will display. It is not working. A.c file is ready. So when you type cc a.c on a terminal, you should get a.out file. And that a.out is nothing but intermediate code. And to a.out, if you provide some input to run that a.out, you have to give instruction /a.out. And you'll get the proper output. So this is intermediate step. In a normal way, if you choose a C compiler, if you go to a.c and choose a C compiler, it will execute and print the output like hello world or say hi, I have printed hi, and you get the program output executing. But instead of directly uh, going to the output, if you want to see intermediate steps, then go to the terminal, try to compile with this command cc or gcc, whichever the compiler is supported by your system, and you can check intermediate code. In case of Windows, you have to go to command prompt C:, or drive of your drive, and the command to execute is you need a C compiler, whether Turbo C or Borland C, and file name. And if you run this command program on Windows, you'll get the output as a.obj. In Linux, you'll get the file a.out, which is intermediate code or executable. So compiler converts a source program, that is .c file, line by line, word by word, to machine language code. And then machine language code executes and produces the output. That is how compiler works. In case of interpreter, how interpreter works? Interpreter takes a source program, translates it, then executes it and directly produce the output. Intermediate file is not there. Machine language code as a separate file is not generated by an interpreter. For example, interpreter say is a Python. I'll reload it. If I choose Python, so in Python it is very easy. A is equal to 5 and print A. It will just run this code and print value of A. If I want B is equal to 10, C is equal to A plus B, here I am not writing main or not defining what is integer A or character B. I am just doing some operations. Print C. C is 15. So line by line code gets executed if it has some error. Say instead of print, I by mistake written printed. So my program will not work. It will give me error there itself, and then I have to rectify that error. Then it will start executing again from start. So first it will translate this line, execute this line, print the output. Then here there is a problem. Suppose instead of say A, I use some other character D, it is not defined. So there is an error at line number 12. So here you can see 5 is printed because it has translated this line and executed print A. So 5 is printed, but it is not executing this line D plus B because D is undefined. Name D is not defined. There is an error, so it is not executing this line. Here itself program gets halt. So every line by line it translates and executes at the same time. Intermediate code is not generated. So how you can compare between compiler and interpreter? What compiler does? Compiler produces all the errors. Same program if I try to write in C language. Instead of Python, if I write a C language program, for C language, I need to reload this editor. So here in main, I have to define variables. Integer A is equal to 10. Suppose there is error at line number 15.
Ma'am, screen is not visible.
Ma'am, it is visible.
Yes, I forgot to share that particular tab. If I missed semicolon here, then I missed bracket here. I'm just adding few errors. C is equal to A plus B. I want to print the result. I missed that closing bracket. There are two errors in this program. So when I run this code, it is showing me all the errors at a time, expecting semicolon here. Actually, it should display at line number 14, but it is displaying at line number 15. And then bracket is missing. So the complete list of errors is displayed here. But this is not the case with interpreter. Interpreter executes line by line, translates and executes and produces the output. We are getting what is the difference between interpreter and compiler. So at a time you can rectify all the errors and your program will be ready for execution. C is undefined variable. So result is 30. Interpret executes statement by statement and compiler executes the complete program at a time. This is clear what is a compiler and what is interpreter. Then fourth generation languages. Fourth generation languages are also high level languages that requires fewer instructions to accomplish a task than third generation. If you compare C language program with and Java program with Python, Python requires very few instructions. So that are mainly used in databases, query language, report generator, form designer, and application generator languages are called 4G languages. They are more specific to the problem. Depending upon a problem, you can choose a language. And lastly, fifth generation languages are called declarative language. In next session, I'll explain you what is meaning of declarative language. Declarative languages are problem specific. If the problem is of type functional, you can use functional programming language like Lisp, Scheme, SML. Even Python shows characteristics of functional programming. It is called applicative programming. Everything in functional language is a function. And C is also a functional language. In C language, everything like printf, scanf, these are functions. Main is also a function. Another paradigm is logic paradigm, which is Prolog is an example of logic paradigm. It is based on mathematical logic and it is rule or constraint based language. So in next lecture, we'll discuss what is meaning of declarative language, applicative language, these keywords, and what is functional language and logic language. Okay, we'll stop here. For any queries, you can unmute and ask. Today we have seen what is the role of programming language, why to study too many programming languages. Then we have seen what are the characteristics of a language. And we have seen different generations of a language. First generation, which is called machine level language. Second generation is called assembly level language. Third generation is called high level language like C, C++, Java. Fourth generation languages are also high level languages, but length of the code is very small. For example, database languages. And fifth generation languages are declarative languages like problem oriented. Depending upon problem, you can choose a language like logic language or functional language.